Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tablelands Regional Council Ordinary Meeting for October. Could I remind everyone to turn off their devices or turn them on to silent at least, please. Apologies to people in the gallery for our backs, but that's how this room is set up, unfortunately. Do we have any apologies? No, thank you. Could I ask everyone to be upstanding, please? I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we meet on today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Now we'll observe a minute's silence as a mark of respect for the members of our community who have recently passed. We wish their family and friends peace and comfort during this challenging time. Thank you. Councillors, item 6, declaration of any material personal interests / conflicts of interest by councillors or senior council officers. Yeah, through the Councillor Spanos.
Item 12.1 in today's meeting, I declare that I have a conflict of interest in this matter. As defined by section 175D of the Local Government Act 2009, I'm also employed by the Cole Motor Group as a sales consultant. Therefore, I will be dealing with this declared conflict by leaving the meeting while this matter is discussed and voted on.
Thanks, Councillor Spanos. Noted. Councillor Lang.
Chair, in relation to confidential item 16.1, up until September this year, I was employed by an organisation which a family member of the recipient was one of my supervisors. However, I do not believe that I have a conflict, but I will leave the room so my colleagues can decide if I remain for the participation on this item.
Very good. Thanks, Councillor Lang. We might decide that now. Councillors, my understanding is Councillor Lang was involved with the Show Society for a number of years, where she worked with the president of the Show Society, who is a family member of the family involved in item 16.1 regarding the Young Borough Treatment Effluent Reuse Agreement. Councillors, any thoughts on this one? Councillor Karju.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. No, I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't think she's got a conflict, and if she does, it'd be very, very, very minor. So I've got no dramas there. Participating in the discussion and the vote.
Thanks, Councillor Karju. Councillors, any other comments or alternative views to Councillor Karju on this one? Councillor Barty?
Yeah, I have no problem with Councillor Lang saying the matter isn't in relation to the employment or anything to do with it.
Councillors?
I agree. what's been said.
Yep, so is everyone in agreement that Councillor Barty can stay in the room and stay?
Councillor Lang.
Sorry. Councillor Lang can stay in the room and stay for the vote. Is everyone in agreement that that's the position? Fantastic, thank you. Can I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Cardew and Councillor Spanos seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Back. Thanks, Councillor Lang. Council decided that it was perfectly fine for you to stay in the room and stay for the vote during the discussion of that item. Thanks, Councillor Lang. So that brings us to item 7.1, confirmation of the minutes. The first minutes we'll do today, councillors, will be the minutes of our special budget meeting of the 27th of June. Can I have a mover that those minutes be accepted as a full and accurate record? Councillor Barty, moving, and Councillor Bilney, seconding. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Thank you. Item 7.2, confirmation of the minutes, the ordinary meeting of the 26th of September. Can I have a mover that those minutes be accepted as a true and accurate record? Councillor Cardew, moving. Councillor Lang, seconding. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. That's 7. While we're on that one, councillors, we'll just go to business arising from the meeting minutes of the 26th of September. Did we have any recorded, Jackie? No, we had none recorded. So matters arising, business arising from the floor, councillors, for the meeting of the 26th of September. Are there any business arising from the floor? Councillor Cardew?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, I have one question about the Rishi program, but I might just leave that till business without notice, if that's okay.
So it's not related to the minutes? Is it in the minutes?
Not specifically related to the minutes, no.
No, okay. Okay, so final call, councillors. Any business arising from those minutes of 26 September? No. Okay, thank you. Also, councillors, we have one more lot of minutes, a special meeting on the 29th of October. Can I have a mover that those minutes be accepted as a true and accurate record? Councillor Bilney and Councillor Barty. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Thank you. Item 9, deputations. So we've got 2 deputations this morning. Could I ask Heather Payne from the Mount Garnet Pool Association to please come up to the podium and you can start your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Heather Payne and I've been a part of the Mount Garnet community for almost 49 years. I'm a mother, grandmother and teacher and am now the Vice President of the new Mount Garnet Pool Association. Our executives are Monica Moore, who's President, Joanna Oates, Secretary and Mel Mahon, Treasurer. Both Monica and I were part of the previous pool committee, so have had many years' experience with the day-to-day running of a rural pool. The reason why I'm so passionate about our need for a pool is that I know from personal experience how easy it is for people to drown in creeks and rivers. The tragic drowning of an 8-year-old boy in my class was the catalyst for the building of the original pool in 1983, and my own 2-year-old daughter nearly drowned when she slipped from a sandbank into a creek. We'd like to thank the TRC for the opportunity to speak today, and would also like to acknowledge the support of the member for Hill, Mr Shane Canoes, and our own local councillor, Annette Hayden. I hope you have all had a chance to read our petition, which was signed by more than 200 people, as well as the letters of support from all sections of our community. A swimming pool has been shown to be a vital asset, especially in rural and remote communities such as Mount Garnet, where there are few other recreational facilities. As well as promoting healthy, active and safe lifestyles, it enhances health, well-being and a sense of community. It is of benefit to all sections of the population: babies and toddlers, school children, teenagers and young adults, men and women, seniors, the elderly, or physically challenged. An example of a community-led program is the Remote Pools project run by the YMCA that operates successfully in remote Indigenous communities in the Northern Territory. Locals operate the pool with training by project managers and financial help from their council. While pools do cost money to run, the health benefits and social impacts far outweigh the expense. A few aspects of the benefits of a swimming pool are as follows. Improved water safety. With no safe swimming facility available locally at the moment, our children and teenagers are risking their lives swimming and diving in dams, rivers and flooded creeks. Drowning remains one of the leading causes of accidental death among Australian children. Before the closure of the pool, all of our students from prep to year 1 received 20 swimming and life-saving lessons per year from our local accredited swimming teacher, who also offered waterproofing classes for babies and toddlers. Now, unfortunately, our children have been forced to travel by bus for more than an hour to access just 2 lessons per year. Secondly, increased physical activity and improved health outcomes. Swimming is a low-impact form of exercise which benefits the heart, lungs and circulation. It is accessible to a wide range of people of all ages and fitness levels. Specific programs may be provided for different groups. For example, water aerobics for women, water polo, Kids Alive programs and training for fitness. The inclusion of a ramp into the pool would allow easy access for those with mobility problems and could be funded by the NDIS. Clinics in the NT have also reported a reduction in patients with ear, eye and skin infections when a chlorinated pool was in regular use. Thirdly, social connection and community well-being. A pool can act as a community hub, a central location to meet and make friends, to socialise and have fun. This is important for the mental health of all ages. Before its closure, the Mount Garnet Pool acted as a gathering place for families, friends and neighbours, promoting a sense of belonging and community spirit. Events such as swimming carnivals, family fun days, pool parties, swim-a-thons and even baptisms were held regularly. Such activities engage all the residents from the oldest to the youngest, establishing friendships and networks within the community while alleviating boredom, depression and social isolation. 4. Training and increased employment opportunities. Local teenagers over 18s and young adults will be able to obtain first aid certificates, bronze medallions and life-saving skills, so they can then volunteer to help with pool supervision and even maintenance. Such training may lead to paid positions such as sports and rec officers or PE teachers and create opportunities for further employment. Economic and tourism benefits. Visitors and tourists will be encouraged to extend their stay if the town can offer a safe, well-maintained swimming facility where they can swim and cool off. Installation of solar panels would allow heating during winter, so the pool could remain open all year and take advantage of the peak tourist season from April to September. Increased visitor numbers will, in turn, lead to economic benefits for local businesses, such as caravan parks, shops, petrol stations, the post office and the visitor information centre. Finally, long-term investment in community infrastructure. The construction of a new swimming pool in Mount Garnet will obviously come at a cost, but this expenditure should be looked at as a long-term investment in the future of our small rural community. This facility will be a valuable resource, an enduring asset, which will build the resilience of this area by meeting the needs of all residents while supporting future growth and development. So this is why we believe a swimming pool is needed in Mount Garnet. The second part of this presentation will explain how we can successfully operate it. This has been detailed in our 5-year operational plan and also our contingency plan, which has been presented to the council previously. I'll just go through a few points. With the support of most of the Mount Garnet community, the new Pool Association has been formed and will soon become incorporated. Our Progress Association has offered to help with any costs associated with this process. With a willing group of volunteers, we are confident that we will be able to cover most of the labour costs involved in the maintenance and upkeep of the pool. This includes water testing, adding chemicals, cleaning and mowing. If required, volunteers will upgrade their training and complete any chemical handling certification. Several members have practical experience in mining laboratories as well as machinery, landscaping and grounds maintenance. Stocklick Trading has pledged to donate the salt required to maintain the pH balance of the water. This will further reduce chemical costs. The installation of a solar heat pump or solar panels, as previously mentioned, would significantly reduce electricity bills, as well as allowing the pool to operate throughout the year. Numerous people have indicated that they are willing to undertake the training for the bronze medallion as required for supervision. The Mount Garnet Rodeo Association has pledged to fund this for 3 to 4 volunteers, while Noonbai Indigenous Corporation have also offered to sponsor 2 Indigenous people. Other residents are prepared to assist with supervision and running the kiosk. Depending on numbers, a roster will be drawn up and hopefully the pool may be open after school and over the weekends. If possible, we would like to operate under a flexible model, continuing a token fob system similar to the Georgetown pool. This would allow people such as travellers and shift workers to access the pool when it was unmanned. Mount Garnet State School, the local P&C and parents of children enrolled in the School of Distant Ed fully support a new pool, as this will mean more than 80 students will once again learn to swim. The principal of Ravenshoe State School has indicated that their students could also travel here for lessons. The Department of Education provides funding for these lessons on a per capita basis. The Pool Committee will of course be applying for grants and actively fundraising. Various organisations such as mining companies and sporting groups have offered financial and in-kind support. However, we live in an area with a low socio-economic index and little employment. Therefore, we will still need some financial support from the council, especially in the early days, to help cover costs such as electricity, insurance and chemicals. If the TRC agrees to rebuild our pool, we request that the Pool Committee be involved in the planning and design. We have the local experience and knowledge of what will be the most efficient and cost effective for this area. We were considerably shocked by the cost estimate of $3 million, which was submitted to the state government by the TRC. This seems excessively high, and we are confident that, with some economies, a viable pool could be built for around a third of that figure. Thank you for attention, and we hope the TRC will look favourably on our proposal.
Thank you, Heather.
I'll now ask Samantha Willis to come up and do a presentation. Samantha will be talking about ecological values of wildlife on the tablelands and the importance when making decisions. Thanks, Samantha.
Going up there?
It will.
All right, while that's getting sorted, I'll just say good morning, Mayor, councillors and everybody here today, and thanks for giving us this opportunity to come and present this information. Even though it's just me up here today and a small group of us that initiated this deputation, this comes from a wide group of people in the tablelands who are very concerned about what we're going to talk about today. So I might say I a lot, or we, and but I am talking on behalf of some of the people here today, but a whole lot more people that I've had conversations with over the last 16 years that I've lived here, and especially since we've initiated this process. So, why we live here. My husband and I have lived in this beautiful place for a period of about 16 years, and over this time we've seen a big growth. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to say I live in Malanda, and I'm a school teacher, but I'm also a passionate environmentalist, and we moved up here from Townsville for a reason, and I know most other people live here for that reason. There's been a big growth in urban development, and as a consequence of that, a steady degreening of our area. Much of this seems to have happened without sustainable local area planning frameworks. And as a result of that, we've seen a loss of habitat, natural environments, unsustainable development, and development design, and also the location of those developments being unsuitable, and growth without the necessary infrastructure and green space. The motivation for this talk today has come about by many things, but I suppose where we live, there's a big development going up the road from us, and a huge clearing of the native rainforest took place, which gave us a really big shock. We knew the development was going ahead. It's been on the go since we first moved here, but seeing that right in front of our face, it was time to speak up. I know through speaking to lots of people in the tablelands, through surveys that have been held and feedback that the council has gotten over the years, that most people live in this region for the natural environment. I know that is our #1 reason why we have most of our tourists come to this region. We are bird people, we're animal people, and we speak to a lot of tourists that come to this region, and it is for the beauty, it is for the lakes, it is for the wildlife. We do markets and we sell wildlife photographs, and we are always asked, where can we see this wildlife? Where do we go to view these birds? It is the #1 reason why people come to this area, whether it's bike riding in the bush, whether it's walking around the lakes, whether it's to go to see specific animals. It is the #1 reason. We're very concerned about damage to the environment through development and devaluing of our natural assets. We want to see protection of prime agricultural lands and livelihoods surrounding that. We're worried about degreening of the Malanda Township and surrounds. And we're worried about the lack of green space provided to the community and developing and maintaining social connectedness through those green spaces. We're also concerned about a lack of public inclusion and engagement and the valuing of community input. And I'll probably say this a couple of times, but I don't know about people in this room as councillors, but I know the people in the back of this room that there are PhDs in there that you have got no idea of the knowledge base we have got up here on the tablelands that is not being accessed. Experts in mammals, experts in trees, experts in birds, experts in insects. We've got the people up here. We should be tapping into that resource and acknowledging that bank of knowledge and using that. We're not just a group of councillors that make decisions and staff that make decisions on behalf of a whole community. We have the knowledge, we have the expertise that could be tapped into to help you guys make your decisions. We know the council has got some great initiatives. I'd say probably the Winfield Park Nursery is one of the fantastic resources that we have here. As local community members, we can access it, but it's also to supply re-veg projects around the community, which I think is fantastic. We've also got a few other, you guys have got them, Urban Tree Plan and Policy, Natural Asset Strategy Plan and Climate Resilient Plan. These are programs and plans the TRC has signed up to. How are you demonstrating your engagement with these plans and policies? How are the council engaging with the local community? And the community are curious to know how you are going to engage us, and we want to see evidence of that. Just recently, the TRC had a table at the Malanda markets about the Malanda Pavilion. It would be great to see you have a table at the Malanda markets with regard to the natural asset strategy that you are allowing community to make comment on. Our natural environment. Knowing the value of our local natural assets and to protect and expand our natural assets and environments. We've talked about this a number of times between us, and yes, there are state and federal laws that protect certain parts of the tablelands, but there's a whole other range of areas that do not get any protection. And we feel if local government actually went about mapping those areas and identifying the significance of those areas on a local level, we might see more protection of those areas and less destruction of those areas. I'll go on in the next slide, but I just make mention here is that once again, the Davies Road development and the clearing that took place there. Through my research for this talk, I discovered that the Lands Department do have a registry of significant vegetation on the road reserves. Council could and should access this information and expand on it to include local roadside verges that are not mapped. Council to adopt and enforce a register of matters of local environmental significance, not just rely on state and federal. And identify and value matters of local environmental and cultural significance. So for example, just recently with the Arboretum in town here and what we're seeing going on in that place and what could have happened to protect that area. I know it's not a natural and it is a planted park, but those trees are of significant value and we do not place enough value on those trees and trees around our community. and bringing to awareness of council and privately owned natural assets, tap into novel funding and the possibilities to protect and enhance those areas. Council could provide a supportive framework for locals to engage with these projects, which is under the OECN's, the other effective conservation measures, where there is funding available for local people and council to tap into. It's important to note also, by preserving and bolstering natural assets, we can assume ecosystem services will be enhanced, benefiting local communities, livelihoods, and also the livelihoods of the people downstream and on the reef. You can see what ecosystem services do here. They support a whole range of networks and vital for our living. This is the Davies Road land clearing that took place. Many of these areas are regarded by council and local as scrub. It's a word we heard when we first moved up here. I've never heard it used unless you're way out bush and they call it scrub. I think it's a devaluing of our rainforests. This little patch of rainforest is called a scrub. It holds no value. Clearing takes place without a thought for the wildlife that call them home. However, they are very important corridors and habitat for wildlife, and many provide valuable links to larger forests, and without them we lose a lot of wildlife to dogs and carkill. Council needs to locally map these patches of forest and place a value on them, so when developers apply for development applications, these areas are taken into account and protected, or offsets, replacements are negotiated. Evident here in this picture of clearing along Davies Road, Martin and I have walked this road for 16 years, spotting numerous tree kangaroos, green ringtail possums, pythons and countless birds. We took David Attenborough here to see a tree kangaroo. He'd never seen a Lumholtz tree kangaroo before, and we were lucky enough to be able to take him to show him a tree kangaroo in this particular forest. In a matter of a few days, without any public consultation, this vegetation was bulldozed and 2 wide driveways were cut through the forest to access blocks behind that strip of forest. There's no sensitivity when it comes to the clearing of the vegetation. Bulldozers are brought in. You can see by this, they don't try and minimise their damage. It is just employment, come in, clear the area and leave the mess behind. For us locals to walk past there and be totally distressed and disturbed by what we see. Not to mention the wildlife that lives in that forest. And you'll excuse me if I get a little bit passionate about this topic. Another big thing we've been talking about with when we've gotten together to talk about these topics is connectivity for humans. We're seeing all around Australia, and even within our own council, we've just had a wonderful bike strategy signed off on. It's fantastic, but it doesn't connect the towns. We could be asking developers to contribute to bikeways, to pathways for us local people. Developers come into these areas and they make a lot of money out of those developments. We know the developments are going to take place. We don't begrudge that the developers make the money. They put the effort in and the money into them. However, they could be giving back to community. And there's many other examples around Australia where that is happening. Eco development is a big part of our way forward, and we should be tapping into these resources and expecting developers to give back to our community. We know that bike riding links us with nature. We know it gives us health benefits. It also enables people to access medical, shopping, community support groups, and it helps us join and become a resilient community. It also has big benefits for carbon reduction. There's many funding projects out there, and I've seen through my reading that there's towns like Toowoomba that are turning their town, of course they're not keeping vehicles out completely, but they're making it very accessible by putting bike lanes all through their city. We could do the same sort of thing around here. I know it takes funding, I know it takes effort, but if we tap into what's available to us, and we're seeing a lot of roads being done at the moment, if at the same time we then put in bike lanes, e-lanes, whatever you like to call them, it could be a lot more viable.
Excuse me, Samantha, we're just running out of time.
All right.
If you can just
Quickly go
perhaps
through.
wrap it up,
All right.
thanks.
All right, I'll mention green space quickly, is that we recognise the value of green space. We know it's important for everybody, wildlife and us, to be connected through green space. It provides a healthy environment, a healthy lifestyle, and it is part of what we need going into the type of future that we're going into with climate change. We could be an exemplar for other communities if we tap into resources, funding, actually have a look at what other communities are doing. We could get in on those projects as well. We could use some of these ideas to set a standard that we then show to other communities. Big community are working on a circular economy. We've got exactly those sorts of resources here. We could do something along those lines. I won't focus on that anymore. I'll just say a way forward, a practical takeaway for all of us. We would ask Council to take note of the various suggestions made here today, and work towards more sustainable policies, decision making and practices, and to better reflect modern community values. Engage with external organisations to make the most of funding that's available. Make use of the many local residents' expertise in conservation and environmental management. Engage and work alongside locals, making community decisions more transparent, as residents have had enough of sort of being kept out of the picture. Protect our precious natural and social environments for sustainable future for all. And I must stress here again that this is the initiative of several Malanda people, but we speak on behalf of many Tablelands residents who are very concerned about our environment and wish to be assured that future planning does not continue to threaten or destroy what we all treasure here. I hope this is just the start of a constructive conversation and collaborations between community and council. Thank you again for letting us have this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillors, I'd like to. Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. Councillors, I'd like to suggest that we bring the Mount Garnet Pool item forward and deal with that first. So could I have a mover that we set aside the standing orders so that we bring item 12.3, the Mount Garnet Pool, to the first item of business. Could I have a Councillor Vardy moving? Yeah. Councillor Spanos seconding. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. So councillors, we'll move now to item 12.3, which is the Mount Garnet Pool. Do I have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor,
And I'll second. Sorry.
Councillor Cardew is moving and Councillor Billney is seconding. Did you have an amendment, Councillor?
Yes.
I'll withdraw my
Councillor Billney is moving and I think Councillor Billney has an amendment to the officer's recommendation.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. Look, it's a really tough decision, this one to make. I thoroughly appreciate the deputation by Heather, her passion for the community. There is significant mitigating issues contained in this report. I do support the officer's recommendation at this time, but I'd also like to make an amendment to the officer's recommendation, looking at how council can support that community in some infrastructure way at a future. It can be something in line with improving the cricket field. It could be a pump track or something like that, or it could even be how do we facilitate those learn to swim sessions for an extended period. We've done it this year. I'd like to investigate that further on how we can support that group going forward. So I'd like to amend the recommendation, and in particular dot point 3 to continue advocacy for the Mount Garnet via means of the draft Mount Garnet Economic Development Strategy and progress scoping of projects already identified through community engagement for council consideration and budget allocation. So that would be my amendment to see what we can, how we can further support the community.
So yeah, Councillor Billney's got a proposed amendment there. Councillor Cardew, are you happy to support the amendment? Councillors, who would like to talk? Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, this is a very difficult decision we're going to have to make here today, and I've publicly stated on many occasions that if anybody deserves a pearl, it's Mount Garnet because of their climate, their remoteness. They already have a pearl, but the fact of the matter is, for me anyway, is that we have worked this and we have worked it and we have worked it, and we cannot come up with a viable solution to either build a new pearl or repair the existing pearl in Mount Garnet because of a couple of simple reasons. One is the usage rate, and I know in the presentation just provided that the school does use it for swim lessons, which I fully support, and can be a terrible shame if that doesn't continue. And the other one is with the change in legislation and pearl operations requiring very onerous and strict supervision guidelines and rules, I don't believe, even though there's a lot of goodwill in the community as suggested in the presentation, I just can't see that level of legal requirement being upheld into the future without some sort of financial backing. So while I fully, my heart goes out to the Mount Garnet community, I can't support a new pool at this point in time. But if in the event, I mean, this recommendation is that's up today is to decommission it and by draining the pool and disposing of it. There'll still be a space there. If in the future, whatever reason, that we can put a pool back there, then I'll be fully supportive of that. But at this present time, the way the situation is at the moment, we're very limited in what we can do.
Councillor Hayden.
Mount Garnet District has the highest level of disadvantage in the Tablelands Regional Council area and one of the highest levels of disadvantage in Australia. The measure relates to unemployment, the unemployment rate, low income and education levels. This index is mostly commonly used because it highlights areas of most needs. Despite the low socio-economics, Mount Garnet has potentially some of the largest resources in mining operations and employment opportunities there is. There is a continuing expansion of cropping activity and cattle industry, even though TRC Agricultural Advisory Committee don't appear to recognise this. These positive trends represent an opportunity to strengthen the services, roles and population of Mount Garnet as a commercial and government centre. Sometimes that of itself will play a positive role in encouraging the development of the district's based industries. A swimming pool in a small town fosters healthy community engagement, recreation and can enhance the local economy, making it a valuable community resource. By supporting a small town swimming pool, the council would invest in a community benefit facility that promotes health, safety, community cohesion and even economic growth by making it a valuable asset for current and future residents. The first quote we got was $600,000 to $1 million. Then all of a sudden it was $3 million. Well, I don't know how, and that was given to the state government. Remember, locals raised the funds for over 40 years ago, raised funds to build their own pool. Council is supposed to support healthy, active, safe lifestyle until it comes to Mount Garnet. We can throw millions towards Priors Creek, but nothing to Mount Garnet. The care factor for Mount Garnet from this TRC is nearly non-existent, and this was evident in the recent fires for the last 2 years. I will be supporting the Mount Garnet residents in reinstating the pool.
Thanks, Councillor Hayden. Councillors? Councillor Lamb.
So I do recognise the value and importance of the pool to the Mount Garnet community. However, I have concerns about the proposed committee and community's ability to maintain and manage without significant assistance from council. Many volunteer groups across the country are facing a decline in volunteers, and staffing is a crucial factor in the successful operation of any organisation. If volunteers are not available, the group will need to hire paid staff, which would impose a substantial financial burden on the group. While I appreciate the letters of support received, I do not believe that these, along with fundraising activities and income generated from pool patrons, will be sufficient to ensure the pool is well maintained and viable in the long term. The token system demonstrated the lack of use, which was mostly the Mount Garnet School. I believe that the Community Consultation Council could deliver another more financially viable recreational space for the Mount Garnet community.
Thanks, Councillor Lamb. Councillors?
One comment,
Councillor
actually,
Hayden.
the token system did work. It wasn't just the school using the token. The people were going in there and they were charged $2 or $1 to go through the pool. Well, you never asked how many tokens that went through there. So to me, the school actually didn't have to use the token system. So
The records I've got says it was Mount Garnet School only.
that's right. That's what it says there.
Yeah,
The token
so I
was
can
for
only
the
go off what the
adults.
information that I've been given.
That's because they rigged it.
So Councillor Hayden is absolutely right that the Mount Garnet community is a severely disadvantaged community. It's quite unique in the age of its community. It has an older demographic, and it also has a much younger demographic, certainly in the Indigenous community. And both of those cohorts would certainly benefit from having a pool. You've got your young kids who really learn to swim, who need to have good exercise and need to stay healthy, and you have the older members of the community who would also benefit from the pool for their health and well-being as well, because pools are a great resource for exercise and staying healthy and staying independent longer. So Councillor Hayden is absolutely right. The challenge for this council, the challenge for every local government in Australia is the cost of building the pool is absolutely significant, but there's also the cost of running a pool. We couldn't expect the community to fully cost the running of the pool as well. If a pool was built, a community the size of Mount Garnet would not be able to afford the cost of the electricity, the chemicals, perhaps all the staff that were needed to run the pool for certain events. I appreciate there'll be volunteers, there'll be people who've got their bronze medallion who can do things, but ultimately there will be a burden that comes back to council at some level going into the future. So the challenge for council is probably been the capital investment up front. We certainly can't do it by ourselves. We were hopeful that the state government could have chipped some money in. That hasn't happened yet. It doesn't say it can't happen, but that hasn't happened yet. The council's certainly not in a position to, spend $1.5 million or more on the pool itself, and then have some other infrastructure around the surrounds that we need to upgrade as well, because none of it's compliant anymore. So there is a significant capital investment up front for council, and then there's also the ongoing burden that council would have to take to cover some of the costs of operations. And council knows, because it's has experience with pools, as do other councils, that pools are very expensive to run. Even once they're built, it's still expensive to manage them. So look, I think I'll come to you again, Councillor Lang, in a second. I think there are some things afoot at Mount Garnet. There's at least two mining companies that are looking very advanced now in investing in that community. So I think it's fair to say that there will be an injection of private money through those companies. There will be people moving there to work at those mining facilities, and this will also reinvigorate the town. So I think Councillor Bilney's amendment there to the dot point 3 is a good one, because council needs to be supporting the community as these things start to change. We need to do our bit. We need to increase our investment in the community spaces. At this stage, the pool is beyond council scope. If we had a business partner, that'd be different, but it's certainly beyond our scope as a sole investor in the pool. But I think council does need to increase its investment in the community space and the community amenity of the town, because the town is going to go through a resurgence with the uptake in mining. And I'll go to Councillor Lang again.
Yeah, just through the chair, apology, a correction to my statement. It was actually the TRC booking system I was referring to, not the token system.
Thanks, Councillor Lang. Councillors, anyone else like to talk to this one? Councillor Spanos.
Yeah, on this subject, I feel it's something that we could probably revisit at some time, and I agree with what Dave has said. I appreciate that the community up there feel that they're being left behind, possibly. However, I'd like to think, as a new council coming in, we haven't forgotten those people up at Mount Garnet. I really do believe that, and hopefully at some point in our tenure that we will be able to revisit this. As you say, there's new mining going in up there, and it may be a partnership with the private sector that we need to look at to possibly reinvigorate Mount Garnet, and with that may come additional things like replacing the pool. So I agree with Dave's suggestion there, and I understand Annette, passionate about the area, and possibly I hate to think this, but possibly the constituents up in Mount Garnet feel like they've been left out. but I'd like to think we're here to change that, and we certainly will be looking to in the future. That's all I've really got to say about that one.
Thanks, councillor Spanos. Final call, councillors. We've got a mover and a seconder of an amended motion that's up on the screen. Those in favour? Carried, that's 6-1, thanks, Jackie. Councillor Hayden against, thank you. Could I have a mover that we resume our standing orders and come back to the beginning of the agenda, please? Councillor Vardy's moving. Can I have Councillor Cardew seconding? Those in favour to resume the standing orders? That brings us to item 11.1, councillors. Development assessment, delegated decision making. I think councillor Cardew wanted to move that motion. Councillor Cardew?
Yeah, I'd like to move the motion with a minor amendment to it. The minor amendment is on the board there.
So councillor Cardew's got a minor amendment to the officer's recommendations. He's added those 3 dot points there to the recommendation. Do we have a seconder? So yeah, councillor Lang seconding that. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Look, I was part of the last council that introduced this delegation that these reports be brought back to council. However, after speaking with our planning manager, he informed me that we do need to try and reduce red tape. And I was going to argue against this, but I'm not now. He was going to use those words against me. But, I'm happy for it to go through because he's provided some initiatives in the report that state that we will be notified upon development applications being lodged. So at the time of lodgement, we'll get notified. Because what happened previously was that subdivisions were getting approved under delegation and we weren't being notified, and we were being caught short by our constituents when asked questions, what's going on here. So the initiatives that I've asked to be included in the recommendation are those ones in the report. Those 3 dot points are in the report. I just wanted them to be noted in the recommendation, so it's very clear moving forward.
Thanks, councillor Cardew. Councillor Billney.
Yeah, through the chair. Look, I support the amended recommendation. Proposed changes appear designed to streamline processes and make the decision making more efficient, and also keeping councillors informed. However, there are some risks with delegations related to oversight, consistency and community engagement. That can be mitigated with clear criteria and ongoing review of the delegated processes. So I think this is a very good amendment. So, well done, councillor.
Thanks. Councillors, final call on this one. We've got a mover and seconder and an amended motion on the screen. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7-8. Thank you. That brings us to item 11.2, Capital Project Report, September 2024. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Billney's moving, and a seconder. Councillor Vardy. Councillor Billney.
Through the chair, look, I haven't got anything major to add, unless Jody, you've got any updates in relation to major projects that you might want to share.
Through the chair, as the report provides an overview, high-level overview, I would be happy to take any questions on notice about specific projects and discuss with the project managers. But there is quite a significant number of projects, so
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Councillor Barty?
I do have questions about specific projects. So page 25, there's the Lakeside Public Amenity roof renewal and the Lapidary Club roof renewal. They're both at 50%, and I'd just like to know what that means and what the schedule is for those two, if that's okay.
Certainly, I can provide through the chair a high-level update as to the progress, and then I can also consult with the project manager or potentially our acting manager of infrastructure. Have you got?
Absolutely. Through the chair, so the request for quotation went out and it's received, and they're in the process of awarding that. So once that's awarded, they can move into construction phase.
Will that be like pre-wet? Yeah,
That's the aim.
that's the aim. Okay, yeah, good. Cool, thank you.
Any other questions, councillors, for the officer? Those in favour of the officer's recommendation? Carried, that's 7. Brings us to 11.3, advisory committee minutes. Do we have a mover? Councillor Barty moving, and Councillor Spanos. Councillor Barty.
Yeah, just wanted to note the addition of the Agriculture Advisory Committee minutes, and thanks for adding those in.
Okay, yeah, is everyone caught up with that, councillors? We've added in the Ag Advisory Committee minutes there, since that was originally distributed. All good? Those in favour?
Do we have to fill that?
We just need council nomination for the itinerary.
Sorry, I'll overlook that. So yeah, we also need, as part of this motion, councillors, we needed to nominate a councillor representative on the Tinaroo Water Committee. Councillor Barty has put her hand up for that. Okay, those in favour of the officer's recommendation, including Councillor Barty's nomination. Carried, thank you. That's 7. Item 11.4 is the final Queensland Regional Organisation of Councils. This is the minutes and minutes of the last meeting, and also the AGM, which was held at the last meeting. I'm happy to move those. Can we have a second of Councillor Bilney? I might just make some comments, councillors, about matters we covered at that meeting. So yeah, the last ROC meeting was the beginning of this month in Cairns. I'll just try and summarise those matters that relate specifically to Tablelands Regional Council. We had made contact with the Department of Transport and Main Roads some months ago about the Palmerston Highway Upgrade Strategy. So this is a document that the state government produced post Cyclone Jasper, when the Palmerston was cut. So they commissioned this upgrade strategy document, but they haven't publicly released it. So we've actually asked them a couple of times for them to release that document. At the beginning of this month, they couldn't release it because they were in caretaker mode because of the election. I know that the ROC, through Darlene Irvine, their CEO, will be contacting Main Roads again now to see when they can release the document, because now there's actually a new government that's been voted in. So we'd like to get our eyes on that Main Roads document on the Palmerston Highway upgrade as soon as we can. So we're still asking for that document. The FNQ ROC board adopted the North Queensland Mountain Bike Strategy, 2024 to 2034. This facilitates the Regional Mountain Bike Strategy Steering Committee for a period of 2 years from the date of adoption. So this is quite a significant document that sort of captures all the mountain bike activity that's either underway or about to happen in the region. So this is a really good document, and it's timely given what's happening, you know, with the Wangeti Trail, with the developments of mountain biking down at Cardwell, and also with our business case that we're preparing for our mountain biking here at Atherton. That's underway at the moment. So it's really timely that ROC has produced that mountain bike strategy. The AGM was held, councillors, during the October meeting, and just to update those councillors who may not have heard, so Angela Topham, the Mayor of Mareeba, was the interim chair of the ROC. She was voted in as the new chair for this term of the ROC, and Mayor Barry Hughes from Etheridge was the interim deputy chair. So Mayor Barry Hughes has been voted in as the deputy chair for this term as well. So Angela Topham is the chair, and Barry Hughes is the deputy chair. So they were the only two elected positions. So the F&Q ROC is planning a delegation to Canberra in February. That's their next delegation. They normally do Canberra in summer, and they do the state government normally April, May, to get into ministers' minds before the budget is finalised. But yeah, that's about my summary of the ROC. Any questions about the ROC meeting? Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Rod. You said that the state government haven't released the Farmers and Highway strategy yet. Has the ROC committee seen it?
No.
They haven't seen it?
No one's seen it. No, hasn't been seen. No. I mean, soon as the ROC, once it goes to the ROC, we'll have access to it. It'll immediately be public. Yeah. Okay, councillors, we have a mover and seconder for item 11.4. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. That's 7. Can you just note Councillor Spanos is leaving the room, please? Item 12.1. So that's why Councillor Spanos is leaving the room. Very good. Item 12.1, TRC 2024-21 commercial vehicle replacements. So, councillors, Councillor Spanos has left the room. He declared a conflict on this at the beginning of the meeting. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew is moving. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Barty. Councillor Cardew.
And all good with me. Thanks, Mayor. Very pleasing to see that the local business operator is winning this contract. Yeah, all good. Thank you.
Councillor Barty.
Yeah, my only question was, I agree with about the local supplier, that's excellent. 16 vehicles coming in, are there 16 vehicles going out? Is that how this works?
Yeah. So through the chair, Thank you. As part of the disposal process, we actually sell them via auction, so that return comes in as counted as revenue. Yeah.
And it is 16 for 16.
Yeah.
That's as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Final call, councillors, on this one. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7, thank you. Oh, 6, sorry. 6, thanks for that, councillor Billing.
Okay, item 12.2, community project request, Atherton Tableland Mineral and Lapidary Club. Do we have a mover and seconder? Councillor Lang and Councillor Cardew. Councillor Lang, would you like to talk to that?
No, I'm happy with this as long as it doesn't have an impact on any other stakeholders within those facilities. That's, I think, is quite reasonable.
Did you want to ask that question to the officer?
Through the chair. Is there any impact on any other?
Through the chair, no, it's directly aligned with their agreement and their
Yes.
space.
Perfect, thank you.
Final call, councillors. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. That brings us to item 12.4, which is McGraw Road renaming. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Barty? And a seconder? Sorry, Councillor Spanos? Councillor Barty?
Yep, I support this going ahead, and I just want to highlight the Eugene Historical Society for doing all the research on this and putting it out. They do an awesome job.
Fantastic, thanks. Councillors, final call. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. 12.5, permanent road closure application, Pinnacle Pocket Road and Long Road, East Barrow. Mover, councillors? Councillor Barty's moving. And seconder, Councillor Cardew. Councillor Barty.
Yeah, I've just got some questions about the, is this road going to be used by the caravan park as well that's down on the water there? Will it link up with that?
Long Road, yes, will continue to be the access from Pinnacle Pocket to that caravan park and to the reserve at the end of the road, yep.
Yeah,
that will remain.
By doing the additional road on it, do you expect it to have more traffic from the caravan park using it?
Not anticipating any change in the traffic volumes at all, no.
Okay, and my other question was just relating to the vegetation area there, that's category B. They say in their application on page 126 that it's for cropping. Are they intending to clear that vegetation?
I don't know, but they would need to go through Department of Forestry to obtain any clearing approvals for that vegetated area before they do any clearing.
All right, that's it, thanks.
Councillor Lang?
I've just got a question that it states that it's a permanent road closure, but then down the page bit, it's a realignment. Can it be both? It's not being permanently closed, is it? Just confusing, that's all.
It's a permanent road closure over a part of the road reserve, not the entire road reserve. The current alignment of Long Road sits inside the proposed road closure, so that would be realigned closer to further to the north.
Yep.
closer to the boundary of the property on the other side of Long Road. So that way, Long Road will still continue to operate as a road without affecting any access to the caravan park or the reserve or any other properties down there.
So would it be beneficial to put partial realignment instead of permanent road closure? I'm just think that's confusing to the community as to which one is it.
It's because the application's come through as a permanent road closure, that's why it's been called that.
Yep.
As Long Road sits inside that space, one of the conditions that we have put on the applicant is that they have to realign the road at their cost, as part of the approval, should it go ahead.
Councillor Billy?
Through the chair, last night we held a cycling advisory committee meeting, and it was raised about the community not being able to have the ability to object or have their say. Anyway, we did some digging around. There is going to be a 20-metre wide road reserve still there, so they still, because they use that track to ride as well, so they were concerned that they were going to be locked out, but that's not the case, and it's highlighted in the officer's recommendations. So I just wanted to confirm. That's all.
Thanks, councillors. Councillor Barty?
Just one more question. The property to the north, are they aware of this happening?
I believe so, but public consultation is carried out by Department of Resources, who are the owners of this process.
Yep.
Council is advised when they advise council when they receive an application of this sort for our approval or objection, and any conditions that we may have, as we have infrastructure, being the roads in this instance, that may be impacted.
And so just to clarify, Dave, is the department duty bound to engage with the neighbouring landholders? Is that part of their process?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So that's their responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah. And do they need this authorisation from us first before they do that, or are they doing it already?
They'll start that after council advises of the outcome of
the decision.
This decision.
Yes. Gotcha. Councillor Kaji?
Yeah, look, just for clarity, we deal with applications for road closures regularly, and this is just part of the process. They need to get the endorsement from the local government to progress the application through their department.
So once that consultation happens, if the neighbouring property objects, like, that's still up to the State Department to deal with that? That doesn't come back to, okay, yeah, thank you, sorry.
Very good. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7.
Uh, 12.6 F&Q Rock Regional Waste Management Plan. Do we have a mover? The officer's recommendation, Councillor Barty. Moving, seconder, Councillor Lang. Thank you. And who was going to be on this one? Was that?
I was going to ask you, do you want that? No?
Oh, I thought we'd identified a councillor, no?
Happy to get proxy, but I get no.
So councillors, do we have a nomination for the F&Q Rock Regional Waste Management Advisory Committee?
What is, Rod, is this meeting, do you know if this meeting's on the same time as other ROC meetings? I normally try and group these things.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I will put my hand up there, but I'm just seeing,
I mean,
mean, the other consideration is all the rock stuff is always, it's teams available. So it's not like you've got to drive to Cairns to attend meetings. They're always teamsing in people.
No, what I'm getting at is there's other councillors down there at the same time.
Yeah, I see.
More councillors travelling to Cairns when someone else can do it, you know?
Yeah, look, I don't know that they have this one when I'm down there for the rock, but I know Councillor Hayden is there for the roads one often, but this is a different one. Shane?
So if I may, through the chair, at this point, they're just looking at meeting every 6 months for a 4-year period. So it's a position to allow council to have a vote in what the technical officers provide in delivery of a resource plan. So it's the implementation. So it's kind of the governing of this is what we want. It aligns with TRC and the other F&Q route councils, and then it gets presented to the board for adoption. So it's looking at every 6 months meeting right now.
So did you say you take that on? So Councillor Cardew is happy to take that on. Thanks, Councillor Cardew. So, yeah, moved Councillor Barty, seconded
We can have
Councillor.
another one there.
Someone like to take on a proxy?
Did you want me to do that? I'm happy to do it, yeah.
Councillor Spanos, thank you.
I know that you've got quite a bit.
I've got quite a bit.
I understand that, and it is only a proxy, so it's not, I'll just send Kev for sure. We can both go, exactly. No, that's fair.
Both go and get 2 votes.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So those in favour? Carried, thank you. That brings us to item 12.7, which is the 12th Avenue Reservoir Renewal. We have a mover of the officer's recommendation, Councillor Bilney, and a seconder, Councillor Spanos. Councillor Bilney.
Yep, through the chair, look, I know the importance of maintaining this facility, particularly the Atherton one. It's noted in the report that the Tinaroo Lookout Reservoir is in need of some love and attention as well. I'm just interested to see in real terms what the water level losses look like and what that sort of reflected in financial terms, just to get an understanding of what the urgency of this request is, if I can.
Yeah, Shane, yeah, thank you.
Through the chair, so the estimated seepage loss at this point is about 39,000 kilolitres per year. So at $1.57 per kiloliter, it's about $62,000 per now.
Yeah, okay. And how long sort of, has this been on the table for the last couple of years, or just a recent investigation has really identified that sort of level of loss, or deteriorating over time? Is that a fair question?
Fair question. Through the chair, I might ask the manager of Water and Waste.
Yeah, well, I've had been here since Easter, but the staff are indicating that this has been several years.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Several years.
Yep.
A long time.
Yep. And are we making the similar provision now for Tinaroo when the...
Yeah, so we went through the tender process, tendered for both, couldn't afford to do both, focused on 12th Avenue as being the higher risk due to the population, and then we'll feed the tendered value plus some contingency straight into the budget for next year. So it will just be a rolling program, I'd imagine.
Yes, thanks.
Councillors, final call. Those in favour? Thank you. 12.8, Tolga Road Revegetation Project. Do we have a mover and seconder? Councillor Lang and Councillor Spanos. Councillor Lang.
So opting for a low maintenance plant is not only a smart way, but it lowers the cost of maintenance ongoing. It also elevates the visual appeal. So driving into town is going to be, and this could be for any space within the Tablelands which is something I think we need to start looking at, is more low maintenance, low cost, everything. So I think this is a fantastic idea, and thank you, Tudor.
Thanks, Councillor Lang. Councillor Spanos?
I do have one question, Tudor, just looking at the traffic control supervision there, the cost of that. Are we able to speak to TMR about the possibility, the fact that it is a state run road? Are we able to look at possibly speaking with TMR about the fact that they may be able to support us with payment of that? Is that something that they would look at, do you think, or they throw it straight back at us?
Through the chair, I have approached TMR informally at this point in time and discussed the project with them to see if we get support in principle for the project. I didn't make a formal approach to TMR before I knew council's direction with regards to this proposed project. I will certainly raise this with TMR. I can't speak for what their decision will be, but my indication at this point in time is that they have a limited budget. They do support the process the project in principle, but they don't expect to have any financial contribution to it. That's my informal feedback at this point in time.
Well, even if we can just, through the chair, even if we can make that, ask that question at least we put it to them, and they may in kind support, you don't know. And I also appreciate the fact that you guys have put a lot of work into this, and I think it's going to be a benefit to the community for sure. Yeah, thanks, Jude. Thank you.
Councillor Barty?
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes and the potential to do plannings like this in other places that are hard to maintain. My question with the traffic control and supervision, it is a high cost. Is there any other work that can be done in that area while that road is closed off?
If I may, through the chair, so we have an RMPC contract which outlines what we can and can't do for TMR basically within that. So if a defect was to be raised in that area, we would tie works together. So we usually engage traffic control for a whole day or a week, and they just move from site to site, and within that space, there's other activities.
Because I was even looking like the wall that's adjacent to the planning, like it looks like it could do with the pressure clean and like little things like that. Is that something that could potentially be done?
So it'd be dependent on what's in the scope, but we could work with the contracting crew and TRC, so whilst it's closed, we could look to combine operational works.
That's great. And I just have one more thing.
You go ahead.
Right. I think it was like the labour cost, if like councillors got involved, would that reduce that?
Through the chair, thank you, but I would probably stay short of involving volunteers because it is a very busy road and it is a very steep slope, so I'd like to do the same thing.
I think Councillor Barty, you increase the cost and decrease the productivity.
Just ask me a question. Good
Sorry.
And elevate the risk. Yeah. We'll go Councillor Cardew and then Councillor Spanos.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, I also have concerns about traffic control. The cost of that is half the cost of the project. I've raised this on a number of occasions, generally about the cost of traffic controls that we have to pay and the processes that they do. As chair of the agricultural, the traffic advisory committee, I intend to bring this matter up with TMR at the next traffic advisory committee and look at, or ask them to look at ways to better minimise these costs. And if they have the ability to look at their processes and things and how they put these things out to try and reduce costs, because like I said the other day at our meeting, just to patch a simple pothole in the middle of the road, the pothole patching people are sitting waiting for traffic control for a long period of time. So I think we need to get better in that space. I went in as far last night and the Palmerston Highway, there's been, at that slip that we were talking about earlier, that's been reduced to one lane for God knows how long, and I counted 3 traffic controllers there, and there's been nothing done at that site for quite a while. So it must be costing ratepayers and taxpayers a lot of money for traffic control where we're not even doing any work. So, anyway, I was just going to let you know that I'm going to bring it up at our traffic advisory committee to advocate to TMR to see where they can find out exactly what the requirements are, and if it's legislated, whether they can advocate to revisit it and maybe come up with better options.
Councillors, I think we'll call this one.
Just one thing on, just on that High Street, there is a drain that runs off of that. And if we're going to be having traffic control there, I think that's one of the things that we possibly need to look at, Shane. Just that there is a drain that runs down onto the road, and I don't know whether it's not working correctly, but I've noticed it there. So that might be something we need to maybe look into whilst we're there.
You can perhaps if you can talk to Shane directly after.
I will, okay.
So he knows exactly what.
No, it's just the fact that we're going to have the traffic control there. I thought it just. Absolutely.
All right, councillors, those in favour of the officer's recommendation? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, it's 10:30. I suggest we just take a 10-minute break if we could. Adjourn.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to 12.9, riparian restoration on private land, selection of applications. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Barty, and a seconder. Councillor Spanos, Councillor Barty.
Yep, I accept the officer's recommendation, and I'd just like to ask if you've got anything to say about the project and the process.
Voice is failing me. So the only thing I'd like to say is that this is a really, really exciting project, and I think there's so many benefits to the environment, to the community, and to TRC as well. It looks great, and we're hoping to achieve really great outcomes and hopefully get more funding to do a little bit more in that space, because we had a lot of interest in the community, and we unfortunately can only do 4 properties, but there's a lot more that should be done on those properties that applied and put the expression of interest in. So hopefully in the future we can continue on this program and do some more.
And just on that, we attended the Reef Guardian event in Brisbane recently, and there was a senator there that all the projects were presented to, and I think it seemed pretty positive, hopefully, that we will get funding again for this project, so I hope, anyway.
If I can just add, just wanted to acknowledge the motion to the LGAQ that our council has co-signed with regards to obtaining more funding for this program from the state government, in line with what the federal government has set aside, which is what we're talking about today. The 42 expressions of interest that we have received, as Christine was mentioning, there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of good projects in there, and we will be keeping in contact with these people, so hopefully we can find ways and means to make these acceptable.
Thanks. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I just note that in the deputation this morning that the presenter was a little bit critical of council not being very active in this space. I think this shows that we are active in this space, and it's a good initiative from council to be doing these things and along the water courses and the like. So just wanted to make that point.
Councillor
Yeah, through the chair. Just going further, Councillor Cardew, I don't think we celebrate in the community far enough on what we actually do. We actually have got quite a few initiatives out there. Recently at our conference a couple of weeks ago, we actually met with one company there about flashing, I think they call it, of greenhouse gases from landfill, which our report cards stated off memory that it was about 70% of our emissions were from our landfill. So we're working with that company over the last 12 months. They're going to come up on site. They're prepared to put infrastructure at no cost. So we can deal with that. So it's a good, these sort of things are what we need to celebrate and let the community know what we're actually doing.
And I'd just like to add that we could probably do more in this space if we had more staff in this area.
Can I just ask one question? So what are, and it may be in here and I haven't captured it, but what's the average area of each site and what's the quantum number of trees that we expect to get in the ground?
Well, the details of each property we have to look at once this has been decided that these are the 4 properties we are going for. There's a combination of weed management, plantings, and potentially some fencing as well. And depending whether it's a combination thereof or more one or the other, it depends on how many trees. That depends on the number of trees that will go in. We need to look at the outcomes we want to achieve on each individual property. And like I said, with the combination of fencing to keep cattle away from the waterways, those sort of things, that depends on.
Gotcha.
We've got 2 properties that are combined applications, which are also really exciting. One of them is actually 5 landholders together. So it's really nice to see the community actually working with their neighbours to get to get this a really good outcome. There's one project site with 5 neighbours working together. Is one particular woman who's very passionate about it, who's got all her neighbours on board, but they are very interested in doing this together, and it's really great to be able to do this. Yeah.
Very good, thank you. Final call, councillors. Those in favour? Thank you. That's 7.
So that brings us to our community and corporate services. 13.1 financial report, September 2024. We have a mover of the officer's recommendation. Councillor Lang moving and Councillor Spinoff seconding. Councillor Lang?
No, I support this. Year to date, our revenue is currently only 0.41% below budget, and expenditure is 1.7% below budget. So I think demonstrates that we're pretty much on track. So quite happy with it.
Thank you. Councillors? No questions for Erica? Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 7. 13.2, revised budget for revenue and revised borrowings plan. We have a mover of the officer's recommendation. Councillor Lang and Councillor Bilney. Councillor Lang?
To continue doing what we're doing so well, I think we do need to do what Erica has proposed here. Yes, we don't want to have to borrow more money. No one does, but to get things done, we're going to have to. So, yep.
Councillor Hayden?
So I'd like to know why this cannot come through the money through developers' contributions in Malanga. So there must be something there for subdivisions that have been going on. Wouldn't there be some money in the?
Yeah.
For me, through the chair. So for the Malanda works in particular, they are actually outside of what we call a priority infrastructure area. So we are not allowed to use our developer contribution funds for that work. So that's something that we investigated, and funds that would, a lot of components of the project do tick it off. It's trunk infrastructure, it's new, it's connecting communities, but it's unfortunately outside of our current priority infrastructure area. That is being reviewed. The whole developer contribution use and our local government developer contribution fund use is being reviewed, but currently I can't use those funds to attach to that project.
Councillor Cardew?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Look, we discussed this yesterday, and I thank Erica for the clarification, because when I first read this report, I didn't have a clue of what it was about and what we were borrowing money for and where the money was going to be allocated to. So Erica very kindly rushed to our aid yesterday and give us some clarity on that. So I'll just ask Erica just to clarify what we're actually borrowing for, so the people out there know. And also, we've also discussed this as a way forward, when these reports are prepared, especially these financial reports, especially for people like myself who don't have a very good handle on financial reporting like this being presented, if the reports can be changed in a way that a layman person like myself can understand them. And Erica has been very supportive in that area, so I'll hand over to you.
Going through the chair. So for the first component of that, with regards to borrowing, so we have a significant capital program that we're delivering this year. We are supported by quite a number of grants. Each one of those grants has particular milestones to reach. So the proposal today has considered our cash flow requirements, when those grant funds will fall, and has indicated that we do need the support of borrowings to get us through this year's capital program. We had anticipated 4 million at the beginning of the year, but our program has significantly increased. We also have added pressure on our cash flow from over 10 million, approximately $10 million of DRFA, so disaster recovery works, which applies extra pressure to our cash flows. And it's, while a lot of that work is funded, majority of that particular component of work is funded, it's around the timing. So often we need to spend before we actually receive those funds as well. So it's around our cash management, identifying what we need. The 8 million borrowings for this financial year is what we require. Then what we do is have a look at the projects and we can best attach that borrowings to. So as Councillor Hayden mentioned, that this project potentially would have been a good one to use developed contributions for, but it didn't meet that criteria. But it does meet the criteria that's suitable for loans. So it's a water project which generates its own revenue through connections and use. And it's a new trunk infrastructure project, so that's a great one to attach it to, which is what we've decided to do today. For the financial borrowings, for the financial details of the report, particularly with the capital revenue, a lot of the movements that are reflected in this report is around timing of funds. So we have received, while we're asking to move $6 million or increase our capital revenue on our profit and loss statement of $6 million, majority of those funds have already actually been received, but they're called constrained funds until such time we reach those milestones. So it's just an accounting treatment, I suppose, to do that. But it is exciting. We've got about $780,000 a part of that, which is the only element that's new revenue, that is helping us better our roads, so to make us more resilient in the future. So when we have future flood events, hopefully we're not losing our infrastructure or getting the damage that we're currently seeing. But we will continue to improve our reports and put them in layman's terms as best as possible. I know this report isn't quite hitting the mark, but I'll work on that in the future.
Thank you. Councillors? Those in favour? Carried, that's 13.3, Q1 Quarterly Performance Report. Do we have a mover? Councillor Spanos, seconder. Councillor Bilney. Councillor Spanos?
We've received the note, the performance report. I'm happy with that.
Thank you. Anyone like to talk to this one or ask a question on this one? Councillor Lamb?
I see the average wait time still significantly above our target. Is there any way that we can look at reducing that?
The wait time, are you, the overall CRM wait time, or are you talking,
So the overall wait time is saying is that 86, if I can read that properly, 88 seconds, and we're looking at 60 seconds?
yeah, for the after hours call management.
Yeah.
They have not been meeting our expectations. We've been working with them. We're not satisfied with the performance we've been getting, and we're currently investigating some options.
Perfect, awesome.
Councillor Cody.
When will those options come to us?
Those options are very near. We're currently speaking with a couple of other providers and seeing what they can offer in the direction of better performance. and cost.
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on for quite a while now, and we've been highlighting that they're underperforming.
Yes.
So if we can get some action sooner rather than later, it's going to make everybody out in our community a lot happier.
Yes, absolutely. We have, for some time, for about 2 months, there was an improvement. Carly, our customer relations supervisor, was working with them, trying to manage their performance. Then it seemed to fall off a cliff in the last 6 weeks or so, to the point that we've begun to open the door to other ideas.
Do you envisage a report for November or maybe December?
It is not unimaginable that we'll have some changes ready in the very near term.
Just on the, do any of those changes incorporate AI?
No, we haven't been discussing that.
Any more questions, councillors, on this one? Those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. 7. 13.4, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee, 15 October. Do we have a mover and seconder? Councillor Billings moving. Councillor Vardy. Councillor Billings?
Through the chair, look, receive and note, there's nothing in there that I need to discuss there.
Thank you. All good on this one, councillors? Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 13.5, Standing Orders and Meeting Procedures. We have a mover. Councillor Lang is moving. We have a seconder. Councillor Spanos, thank you. Councillor Lang. Councillor Cardew.
Can I just ask an officer to give us a brief overview of what the changes are?
Yeah, well, perhaps an overview of what the changes are, but also just how the model meeting procedures have rolled out from the state as well. That'd be good.
Through the chair, I'll just note, so our coordinator governance is present. She's actually on crutches at the moment, so she's going to respond to the questions from sitting over there. Okay.
Chair, my apologies that I'm not sitting at the table with you because I'm not as mobile as I normally am. Thank you, Councillor Kaji, for your question. So, shortly following the most recent adoption by Council of the standing orders in August this year, within the week the state government actually released their new standing orders model example, which included a significant revision which accommodated changes that took place to the Local Government Act in November of last year. So the changes that have now been introduced into the standing orders reflect those legislative changes. So, for example, the scope has been changed for the standing orders, providing that the standing orders can be suspended by resolution in particular circumstances. The document now also affirms the order of business may be altered by passing a procedural motion. The requirements for any amendments to meeting minutes have been specified. And finally, the requirements for satisfying a quorum for meetings has also been clarified. In terms of the amendments to the model meeting procedures, the word model has been removed from the document because although the provisions closely replicate the state government's model meeting procedures that were also updated recently by the state government, that model document significantly now covered content that was already within the state's standing orders and also outstanding orders. So I've removed any duplications, so that basically is a slightly different document from the state's template document. However, there have been no additional provisions that are substantively different from the state's model guidelines effectively. Specifically in terms of the changes to the meeting procedures, the new content reflects changes to the legislation again that took place in November of last year. It confirms that the Mayor has the ability to delegate the chairperson role in specified circumstances. The document also provides a process for councillors to deal with unsuitable meeting conduct by a chairperson of a meeting. It was my understanding that this was the intention of the legislation that was originally drafted, but had been subject to some confusion by councils over the previous 4 years, and so this has now been clarified by the state. The document also provides a process for how a suspected conduct breach by a council that's been referred back to council by the independent assessor must be dealt with by council. It also provides a process for dealing with a conflict of interest, whether it's declarable or prescribed, that arises during a council meeting. It also provides a process for dealing with a loss of quorum during a council meeting, which might particularly arise in relation to a matter dealing with councillor conduct. It clarifies the process for closure of council meetings, and it also removes a number of provisions that were implemented in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which are now no longer of relevance.
Thanks very much.
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor
it was pretty comprehensive answer of an overview. I would think that we would need to workshop this. All these points can be made very clear to us in the very near future.
Well, look, I think it's a good idea to workshop it, but probably the first thing to do is, once we adopt these today, is just spend some time to read through them, because just read through them and absorb. It takes a while. It takes a while to absorb it. So I'd suggest all councillors read through it as homework first, and then work, then come back for an information session if there's points that need clarification. Because I spent a fair bit of time reading through it last night. There's a lot there. There's a lot there, and it just takes you time. You need time to get your head around it and absorb it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think we need to read through it, but reading through something like a legal document like this, we're going to have a million questions all of a sudden, and we're not going to be able to ask the questions. So yeah, I agree, read through it, but I think we need to schedule an information session, probably sooner rather than later. Once we've got these today, we've got to implement it. So. Yeah.
Well, we do, but I mean, we're probably already doing 98% of what's in there. It's not like it's all been consolidated now, and it's better than it was 6 months ago for sure. So, councillors, any more questions on this one? Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. (13.6) Delegation of statutory powers. Do we have a mover? Councillor Cardew and Councillor Barty. Councillor Cardew?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I'll just, same deal, ask the officer to give us a bit of an overview on this, just for the purpose of the demonstration.
Yeah, thank you.
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor Cardew, for your question as well. So section 404 of the Land Act creates the criminal offence of trespass in relation to land that's non-freehold or that is trust land, and section 415 of the Act confers on the trustee the ability to commence proceedings in the Magistrates Court for a trespass cause of action. It's been identified by a number of councils increasingly that they've experienced trespass on their trust land, and in order to take effective action against alleged trespassers, they do actually require this power to be delegated.
Thank you. Any more questions, councillors? Those in favour? Carried. 13.7, approved inspection program for dog registration compliance. Do we have a mover? Councillor Barty and Councillor Lang. Councillor Barty.
I don't really have any questions, but I just want to commend Shalina on the presentation you gave yesterday. I really think that's happening, and that you guys actually go out in the community and talk to people. I think that's great. It's really good. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Barty. Any questions for Shalina on this one? Those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
13.8, Inclusion Policy Corp 068. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Lang and Councillor Barty. Councillor Lang?
I'm just wondering if Jodie has anything she'd like to say about this policy.
Through the chair, no, I believe that the new inclusion policy is timely with aligning with the Human Rights Act and with Anti-Discrimination Act, and also council's plans as well.
Councillors? Those in favour? Carried, thank you. (13.9) TRC Grant Program 1 July 30 September 2024, expenditure and acquittals. Councillors? Councillor Bilney? And do we have a seconder? Councillor Lang, seconding? Councillor Bilney, sorry.
Through the chair, Mayor, I propose to make an amendment to the officer's recommendation based on the fact that the budget has almost been expended in the first quarter. Last year, I think we had it expended in the first 6 months. We tipped a little bit more, 25 grand into the bucket to see out that last financial year. The current budget is about 81,000. I think it's still light, given the fact that we've changed the quantum of dollars that people can claim, 2,000, whereas most of the claims per application were $1,000. So that's actually diluted the amount available in some respects. So for me, I'm thinking this is probably the most beneficial community program that council operates. It's highly successful, and we, in my view, we've underfunded it. So my amendment that I would like to make is actually to increase the budget like we did last year, from 81.5 to 100,000 for the period to 30th of June 24, and then actually look at future budgets. They should start at that particular amount of 100, just to reflect community usage. My concerns are having it expended so early. People that qualify later in the year, it might be someone that's been picked to go to a sporting or event or whatever. If the bucket's empty, they miss out on that opportunity to get some council support. So, you know, it may be that we need to look at, if we have one or two pools of that over the 12-month period, that's something that we potentially could look at going forward, so that doesn't occur. But yeah, I fully support the program. It's fantastic. I've said continually, I really would like to be able to celebrate the use of these funds as they're acquitted on a quarterly basis. There is some in the report, but I think more publicly would be a good thing in my view. So yeah, so my amendment is dot .2, which is to increase the budget for the community grants budget to 100,000 for the period to 30th June 24, and schedule future budgets at 100,000 going forward.
June 25?
Yeah. Oh, beg your pardon, 25, yes. Back to the future.
So, Councillor Lang, would you be happy with that amendment of Councillor Bilney?
Yes.
As the seconder of the motion? Yeah. So, yeah. So we've just to clarify, we've got an amended motion, but moved by Councillor Bilney, seconded by Councillor Lang. Councillor Barty.
My only comment from what Councillor Bilney said, I support putting more money into the project, but yeah, definitely having it as a pool thing, like not from the get-go, like sort of having every 6 months or something, having a bit more going, because otherwise I think we're just going to lose it in that first bit every time.
Councillor Kaji.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not supportive of increasing the budget at all. I mean, I'm supportive of managing it better. You know, having allocated funds for different quarters of the year, you know, would be much more beneficial than just keep topping the budget up just because we spent it, you know. We've got to take control of the budget and spend it wisely. So, you know, you can allocate, you know, 20,000 in the first quarter, 20,000 in the second quarter, 20,000 in the fourth quarter, something like that, as opposed to just keep topping the budget up. I mean, we're just not a money tree. So I fully support the program. I think we just need to manage that budget allocation better, as opposed to continually topping it up. We only just topped it up last year, so I think I'm not going to support the amendment, support the program, and support a better management of the existing funds in future, in coming budgets.
Councillors? So look, we've got a mover and a seconder. We've got an amended motion on the screen. Councillor Cardew has indicated that he's not supportive of that. But if no one else is going to talk, we'll test that motion. Councillor Lang?
Can we just top it up this year and then revise for next year instead of committing?
You'd have to check with the mover of your motion. Councillor Billing?
Yeah, through the chair. Look, last year, off memory, the budget that was expended was $96,000. We're $81,000, so we're asking for an extra 19 essentially. I think over 2 consecutive years, I think it's proven that we are underfunded in this program. I do accept that we can look at the process of this again and the funding pools. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. But for me, this is money going back out into the community for use. They're not, you know, it's one of the most important things that we do, and I think it's not unrealistic to actually to reset what the budget possibly should be. That's my view.
Councillor Spanners?
Through the chair, I think it's the process that's broken here. As far as I totally agree with Kev on the fact that I think we should look at quarterly budgets, let's say, and then, you know, if there's money that's left over, it goes into the next quarter. I appreciate that increasing it makes sense, because you've said that we got out to 91,000 last year, and maybe the increase was always meant to happen at some stage. However, I think the process needs to be looked at for sure. So quarterly adjustments may be the way to implement this. So that's all.
Look, councillors, can I suggest, rather than us try and come up with a solution, why don't we just amend the motion that's on the screen, that we can add a clause there that, and officers come back to councillors with what would that be, a regime, a quarterly regime, or some sort of regime where I'm not sure what the words are.
So thanks. Through the chair, we have already noted that the new policy and the new approach has only been running for a little while, and we did flag that a review would be appropriate at some point so we could test how well it's meeting council's objectives. The proposal to divvy it up and actually address quarterly was discussed when it was first developed and put aside. So we can definitely revisit that. So I think the best solution here would be to receive a note of the report and request an information session with officers to review the current policy. And that way we can provide information, more detailed information about the way the applications are dealt with at present, and your questions can be answered specifically about accessing grants.
Councillor Cardew?
Yeah, thanks, I agree. Rather than act on a knee-jerk reaction, just leave the officer's recommendation as it is, and then review the policy at an information session. And then if we agree that we need to top the budget up again for this year, then we can do it, and then put processes in place to manage it.
So, Councillor Bilney and Councillor Lang, are you happy with the
motion as it reads now.
I would like to see the scheduled future budgets removed. I'm happy with adding for now, but I think future budgets, we do need to sit down and have a decent talk and revise.
Yep, councillor Billy?
Yeah, look, I
okay?
accept that as a reasonable compromise, yep.
Councillor Hayden, you had your hand
That's
up.
what I was going to say before.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Okay, so we've got a mover and seconder of the amended motion that's on the screen. Those in favour? Carried, thank you, that's, yep. Okay, councillors, item 15, business without notice. Councillor Hayden.
So I don't know whether mine be a business, notice a motion or the business without notice. But I'll give it to you anyway.
Yeah, it'll have to be business without notice. Yeah.
Okay. So item 12.8, when you read number 2 and 3, disposal of the pool shade structure and storage shed, etc., by demolition and disposal by landfill in accordance with section 4.2 of the TRCS disposal policy. And 3 is, we'll do that one first. Why would we just smash it all and take it to our landfill when you probably could pull it, say, shade sale down, the storage shed? We're just going to put something through it, take it to the landfill, and it could be reused, repurposed. I don't understand why we would always do that. We screen poor, and yet we're happy to fill our landfills up with stuff that could be reused. So I just want, that's why I didn't know which it was. So I'd like to know something, before they just put an excavator through it all, like the fencing and everything else, what could be repurposed?
Salvaged, yeah. So is that one that you can take?
Through the chair, I'll take that on notice, yeah.
Okay, the next one is 3, the number 3. The reallocate the 500,000 for Western Queensland funding to somewhere else in the Shire. So I'd like to see if a portion of that allocation be allocated to the Mount Garnet for building recreation purposes for the community out there. And that wasn't brought up, that's the, reallocating the whole 500,000 somewhere else, this side of the border.
Councillor Billy?
Yeah, look, I think the amendment that I raised for item 3 actually spoke to that. Progress scoping of projects already identified through community engagement, consideration and budget allocation. So I think that was already covered off in my view.
Councillor Carter?
Yeah, I wasn't aware that we're going to take that 500,000 away from Garnet.
You have to, because it was given to the pool.
But I
It's
think
allocated to the pool.
at our information session that we can be those, if we get those funds, they can be reallocated to another project in Mount Garnet.
It doesn't say that necessarily.
Well, that was my understanding. I might not read it, but that was my understanding.
So through the chair, the matter of identifying the projects is the key thing, identifying those projects which have already been discussed with the community, raised by the community, getting some scoping done on those projects so we have an understanding about the cost.
What are those projects that have already been raised with the community?
So through the chair, the projects that are referred to are projects that were identified by the community as part of the community consultation around the economic development opportunities and what we could do there. So I think the best thing from here, rather than try and allocate projects or identify projects on the fly, is if we have an information session with councillors and the outcome of that engagement can be talked through and those projects discussed.
Yeah, look, happy to discuss those projects, but from my understanding, we're taking that 500,000 out of Mount Garnet. It was going to go in Mount Garnet. That was the whole purpose of it. But I think we do need to identify projects, and I thought we'd already discussed some, like the cricket field and enhancing the area near the residential where the pool is in now. I thought those things were already discussed, but anyway, we can discuss them again and identify them properly. But this is where we'd like to see the future funds go to.
Agreed. Information projects in the Mount Garden. So do we need a motion for that?
So through the chair, we can note that that's a requirement. If we can just take a note that there's a requirement for that discussion.
Councillor Hayden?
Go on, so that's it.
Oh, I can put it back. What I'm doing.
Okay, that's it.
Business without notice, councillors?
Are we finished with this one?
Yeah. Councillor Cardew?
Yeah, thanks. At the last meeting, we approved the reshoot program. Has that program started? Have they started work on the roads?
Through the chair, I believe the contractor is starting any day, like today or tomorrow, over in the Topaz area.
Well, the only reason I asked is that, we've had a lot of fine weather, we've had a lot of bad weather for a long, long time, we've got some fine weather now. Let's get it rolling. That's the only reason I ask is make good use of this fine weather while we got it. Is everything in place for it to be going? That's what I need to know.
Yes, they provided all required documents for possession of site, and that was given to them earlier this week. And they are free to start work on sites.
That's good, thank you.
Business without notice, councillors? Councillors, that brings us to item 16, which is our confidential items. Can we have a mover that we go into confidential? Councillor Lang is moving and Councillor Bilney seconding. Those in favour? Carried, that's thank you. Carried. All good? Okay, councillors, that brings us to item 16.1, Yungaburra Treatment Effluent Reuse Agreement. Can we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Barty's moving, and was that Councillor Hayden? Yep, Councillor Hayden seconding. Those in favour? Carried, 7, thank you. Item 16.2, acquisition of land for overdue rates. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. And that's 7, thank you. 16.3, financial assistance request, Atherton Herberton Historical Railway Incorporated. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew and seconded Councillor Barty. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 7. 16.4, water utility concessions. A mover of the officer's recommendation, please. Councillor Bilney and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour?
carried. That's 7.
All right, thanks. There being no further business, councillors, we'll close the meeting. Thank you.